So you're thinking about buying a home in Dallas, Texas. Well, this is the top 18 reasons, but not limited to 18 because there's many, many more. But the top 18 reasons why, if you're thinking about it, this may help move you in that direction a little bit. Now, I've been in Dallas for over 20 years. I moved here right whenever I got out of the military in the early 2000s, but it wasn't really that far of a jump for me because I grew up a couple hours south of Dallas in a small town called Stephenville. And I was there until I went into the military. And then once I got out, went to Dallas because I wanted to live in the big city, right? It's something that I always dreamed of. And now I've come and gone a couple of times over the last 20 plus years, but as you can see, I've always made it back here. And I tell you what, Dallas is one of the best cities in my opinion, especially if you just like to be in the center of everything and have easy access to really the whole country, right? As far as travel, it's a great central point to get you anywhere. Plus, if you want to get out of the country, lots of direct flights. You got the Caribbean, South America, Central America, all very easily accessible. So from a travel standpoint, I'll tell you what, Dallas is absolutely one of the best cities to be in. But let's dig in right away because this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but we'll try to keep this short and sweet and to the point, but we got to cover 18 topics, so let's not waste any more time. By the way, my name is Levi, and if you want to know everything there is about living in Dallas, Texas, and the surrounding areas, make sure you subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Dallas. And if you have any questions at all about making your move here in Dallas, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. All of that information is in the description below. All right, number one, we've got to start out with affordability and housing. Of course, housing, our favorite subject. But on average, whenever it comes to the cost of living, Dallas is 2% lower on the cost of living than the national average. So right there, you already get, hey, a 2% discount for making your way over here. Now, that median home price based on the national average is 20% lower. So think about that. Now, we got a lot of people making their move in from California, Washington State, Illinois, New York, DC, these areas where it is a lot more expensive, especially whenever it comes to housing. And that's one of the things they absolutely love about coming to Dallas is sometimes paying for a house in cash or being able to put down a sizable down payment because they're selling much more expensive homes from where they're coming from. And we saw a lot of this over the last couple of years, and it's still going on today. So the thing is that there's a lot of people right now kind of sitting on the sideline thinking that, well, I'm going to kind of wait and expecting these huge price drops, but that's not really happening right here in the Dallas market as a whole. Now, is there some fluctuation? A little bit, but we're still seeing, as of today, multiple offers on properties still going at or slightly above list price, and appreciation still happening as well. But overall, there's a lot of room to grow. And with the economy, which we're going to discuss here in a second, and people moving here based on affordability, we're not seeing a slowdown at this time. But overall, when you look at housing, when you look at rents, when you look at those types of things and cost of living whenever it comes to goods, and that's something that's been hitting everybody's pocket recently, especially with rising inflation, Dallas is still one of the most affordable cities in the country. Now, one of the downsides to that is property taxes here in Dallas are higher compared to a lot of other places, but you don't have state income tax. If you're 65 and older, they have exemptions for your property tax. If you're military veterans, there's exemptions based on your disability ratings, and of course, your primary residence should qualify for a homestead exemption on top of that. So there's several things you can do to help reduce those taxes whenever it comes to property taxes. And if you're like me and you love historic properties and that's something you want to move into or even renovate as investment, either way, if you want to renovate your own property or rehab a historic home, Dallas does offer certain tax incentives for that as well. So that could be something to look into. But of course, with no state income tax, the people that are earning higher incomes, this is very attractive for them because they know they get to keep a little bit more on the income side, and usually that makes up for anything that they may miss out on property taxes. And that may make up for anything that property taxes is going to, take a hit on. Let's get to number two, because the job market here in Dallas is on fire. And I tell you what, that is an indicator of what's to come. This is why we don't really expect a big slowdown, even though we know that a lot of people are sitting on the sideline right now. We still have clients making offers, getting great deals, getting concessions, buying down rates. Actually, Travis is moving into a new home right now, and he knows he did a simple buy down, got a lot of concessions from the seller, was able to go in at list price, get concessions from the seller, bought down his rate, and got closing costs taken care of. I mean, as a buyer right now, it's a good time, but we're still seeing steady appreciation. Even as the latest report year over year is still at 4.5% appreciation overall in the Dallas metro area. And the job market is continually bringing people into Dallas, especially when you see it all the time. Corporations are moving their entire operations here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area because it is a tax-friendly, freedom-friendly, and business-friendly environment. Our state is welcoming that. They want you to come here. They want to not regulate as much on businesses and the individuals as well. And so a lot of people really appreciate that, especially on the coastal sides where they experienced a lot of that over the last couple of years, a lot more things coming down on them as small businesses as far as restrictions and limitations. And they're just looking to be able to go about, enjoy their life and run their business. And that's why we love being here in Dallas. So there's major Dallas industries that really are focused on the skilled trades, business, government, education, health services. And with the job growth here, it's one of the strongest job markets in the country. Now, Dallas has seen a 7.4 increase in employment, which is 2.5% higher than the national average. And not only does Dallas offer big opportunities, but they also have higher than average salaries here in the Dallas market. Now, something we're also seeing is manufacturing is offering a much higher salaries here in the Dallas area, but it's home to several Fortune 500 companies as well, and more are moving here. You got companies like AT&T, Southwest Airlines, TI, which is Texas Instruments. You got Tenay Healthcare, Bank of America, and many more. Baylor Scott & Health is one of the largest hospital employers here in the Dallas area. And if you're in the healthcare industry, lots of room to grow. Plus, if you look at Dallas ISD as a school district, that's Dallas Independent School District, over 25,000 teachers just in the Dallas ISD system. So if you are in that industry, it could be a good place to start. All right, number 3 is that it's not just Dallas. You also have Arlington and Fort Worth, okay? But those are really, they're 3 separate areas. So Dallas is seen as the, some may say uppity up. A lot of the Austin people, all the hippies in Austin like to call Dallas snobby. So it's kind of, people seem to give it a more of a upscale vibe, or I would say just really more of a business vibe. As to where you get into Fort Worth, now nothing against Fort Worth, definitely has a business vibe. There's a lot of companies moving into Fort Worth as well, but it still has more of that small town country type of feel, especially when you venture over into the stockyards and they're parading cattle and down the streets 2 or 3 times a day. Then you can go into the museums and everything down there. They're really keeping it that small town feel, and Fort Worth as a whole is smaller than Dallas. Most people venture over to Dallas. This is where more of the corporations are moving, so it's much bigger, much larger in population, and it does just have more of a business environment and a more hustle and bustle type of environment. But you will see they're all really on their own. And of course, Arlington is really just kind of jammed in the middle. Arlington's really forgotten about quite a bit, but it does have University of Texas at Arlington, which is probably the biggest campus for the University of Texas other than Austin. Austin, of course, being the main campus, but UT Arlington is really seen as the secondary campus for that university system. But even in Arlington, which we'll cover here in a little bit, is really home to most of the sports nations. But otherwise, you got 3 separate cities in one. So that's what makes Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex very spread out. It can take you anywhere from an hour to get from one side to the other. And now with Frisco and Prosper up north, it can take you about an hour to get up north as well. And I do believe Dallas-Fort Worth will become DFFW, which is Dallas, Frisco, Fort Worth. I believe Frisco is the new hub, and that's where a lot of people are moving, a lot of activity, corporations, companies moving into the Dallas and Plano area. And so that's making Frisco more and more desirable, and I believe that's going to be the new hub of the area, and they're just going to have to add in that extra F, and it's going to be DFFW from here on out. But if you really want to know the stats on Dallas, it's over 385 square miles and home to nearly 1.3 million residents. All right, the number 4 reason why we love Dallas is it's always sunny in Dallas. You heard of that old show, right? Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which, I mean, it's hardly ever sunny in Philadelphia, right? But Dallas is really sunny. We have very mild winters here, and people do say, well, what about about the summers? Well, yeah, the summers are hot, but I don't know. I've grown up here, so I like to deal with the heat more than the cold. And here, when it does get cold, it gets cold. But it's really between January and February that are really iffy. The thing is that usually the first 2 weeks of February is where we experience the most cold. And we just went through 2 freezes, but that's it. Usually we have 1 or 2 freezes per year. They don't usually last that long, so you just got to get over that. Throw some blankets out there on the plants if you want to save them. And it's really not that bad. So Dallas enjoys over 234 days of sunshine year round, and the highs in the winter average around 60 degrees, except for a couple of those freezing nights that I mentioned. Now, as far as snow, if you love snow, it's probably only going to happen about once every 3 to 5 years. We will go several years without ever seeing snow. That is a possibility. I believe it only snowed once this last year, and the year before we had the ice apocalypse whenever that happened, and it completely froze over Dallas for a week. That was a once in a 100-year storm. I'm sure never seen that before in my 20 plus years of being here, but otherwise it's really not that bad. But if you like snow, all right, you're gonna miss the snow. That's why you got to venture up to Colorado or New Mexico or somewhere else to get your skiing done. Not a lot of options here in the Dallas area, not even the North Dallas area. But that's why you've got neighboring states that'll handle that for you and are easy shots. I love going to Colorado and skiing. It's one of my favorite things. And it's an easy flight because Dallas to Denver, it's like 2 hours, hour and a half back. I mean, it's super quick, super easy to get over there, and a lot of fun. Now in the summertime, they say the average is around 90 degrees, but I'd probably push that up around 95 to 100. It just depends. I mean, sometimes we get several days over 100. Sometimes it just hovers up there in the 98 range, but July and August, definitely the hottest months. Here's how the weather breaks down in my opinion, and I'm not a scientist by the way, but this is what I believe and how this works every single year is July and August really hot, and that's where you're going to spend your time in the pool or at the lake. September, humidity breaks, so September, October, November, December, almost perfect weather. I absolutely love it. It's going to jump between 70 to 80 degrees, and it's very enjoyable. January, February, it's going to hover around 60 degrees, and then it's going to drop. And then every other day, I mean, it could literally go from 30 degrees one day to 60 the next, 70 the next day to 40 the next day. I mean, we just had this happen last week where it was 70, we're outside in t-shirts and shorts one day, and the next day it was 35 degrees again. I don't know how that happens, but it just does. Then March, April, May, and a little bit of June is also perfect weather. June, it's where it really starts to heat up. But otherwise, in my opinion, you've got 10 months of really great weather. I mean, 2 months of really hot weather, but 8 months of really great weather. And to me, that's what makes living in Dallas so enjoyable. All right, so number 5 on the list is going to be public transportation, although it's not really that great. But if you like to get around through public transportation, there are a couple of options, although they are limited. One thing is if you live in Uptown, you've got the Uptown Trolley, which really just kind of goes in a big circle. So if you kind of live on one side of Uptown or you work on the other side of Uptown, you want to hop on that trolley, it's a lot of fun. Now it's a little bit slower paced, but it'll get you there. So you want to time that out, get it around. But otherwise, the DART system, which is a light rail system, the largest light rail system in the country, is what you can do. You'll have to check all the routes, and it is limited. It does cut off around Plano as far north as it goes, but they say the average commute in Dallas is around 30 minutes. But give or take, depending on traffic and where you live, you know, I would add 10 or 15 minutes here or there. But otherwise, I mean, I drive everywhere. Everybody drives everywhere. So I'm not a public transportation type of person, but you do have access to the DART rail, which will get you to downtown, to the airport, up to Plano, and it does branch off into other areas so that if you want to do that, you have access to it. So residents can purchase a DART monthly pass and day passes or single ride tickets for visitors. To make it easier for Dallas residents to travel from the heart of the city to the outskirts, DART continues to expand its public transit with buses, trolleys, streetcars, and light rail lines. Professional commuting to downtown Dallas and to Fort Worth can utilize the convenient Trinity Railway Express. So the number 6 reason we love Dallas is because of the university system here and the access to schools, and whatever you want to do, you can do it here. I started out community college here in the Dallas area. I ended up graduating from University of New Orleans, by the way. That's a whole nother story in itself. But I started out at the local community colleges. I went to Eastfield Community College, and then I went to Brookhaven Community College. And ultimately, I wanted to transfer to UT Dallas. But as I mentioned, I kind of ventured out of the state here and there throughout my career and ended up finishing college over in New Orleans. Again, another story for another time. But if you're looking for higher education in Dallas, then it has over 18 universities and colleges. You can do a custom awesome degree plan at SMU or Southern Methodist University, which also has the third best game design grad program in the entire country, and also the best pre-med schools in Texas. Or if you want to get more into liberal arts or charity week or study works that have shaped Western civilization, or even travel abroad programs, you can look into the University of Dallas. Now, if you like esports tournaments, anime soundtrack playing, orchestras, and sustainable gardening with butterflies and beehives, then maybe you want to look into something at the University of Texas at Dallas. And that's where I mentioned Arlington having the University of Texas at Arlington. I believe, now that I say that, don't quote me on that. Wait a second. Is UT Dallas bigger than UT Arlington? Let me know in the comments. And by the way, if you live in Dallas right now, let me know in the comments what your favorite thing is about Dallas. And if you don't live in Dallas, let me know in the comments what you're most concerned about, or what's your biggest question about making a move here to Dallas. All right, number 7 reason we love Dallas, of course, is the sports, right? If you're a sports fans, we've got everything you need here. We've got all the sports covered, starting with, of course, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Who doesn't love the Cowboys? I mean, as America's team, you gotta love the Cowboys, right? Let me know also in the comments how much you love the Cowboys. But of course, you've got the Rangers, Texas Rangers. You've got the Dallas Stars. You've got the Dallas Mavericks. You've got FC Dallas, a soccer team, if you're a big soccer fan, and many, many more. You've got the Rough Riders as well for the baseball teams. And the sports teams is really what helps keep Arlington on the map, especially with the Dallas Cowboys and the Texas Rangers having their stadiums right there in Arlington. Of course, the famous Dallas Cowboys Stadium right there, and they just built the Globe Life Stadium for the Texas Rangers and have an entire outdoor area. I mean, like shops, restaurants, bars called Texas Live right there in between the two stadiums. Easy access where everybody just spills out from those games, goes there, has an amazing time. They've got one of the biggest screens in the state of Texas to watch the games on as well if you didn't get your ticket. But otherwise, there's no shortage. Most of these are headquartered in Frisco as well, which again is what makes Frisco such a high draw, because of the sports franchises headquartered there really brings a lot of athletes that want to live in that area. And of course, coaches and staff and everybody else that works with those organizations all right there in the area. All right, number 8 is going to be the State Fair of Texas. I mean, come on, who doesn't love Big Tex? He's iconic here in the Dallas area, and the State Fair of Texas is one of the longest running fairs in the country. So the State Fair has been held annually every fall for over 130 years. This event offers live music, livestock shows, culinary demonstrations, and many, many more. You can even visit certain websites like Thrifty Thursdays for discount tickets whenever you go to the fair, and that way you can get all that famous fried food you absolutely love. They have fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Oh my goodness, or OMG as the kids would say. OMG, it's absolutely amazing. Anything you want fried is probably going to be fried at the State Fair. You can even get fried butter and fried Coke. And if you think that sounds gross, well, you got to go and give it a try. So make sure you go on the cheat day, because it's going to be a lot of fun. There's plenty of food to eat. And you know, this last year or the last 2 years, I had to go with Travis. Travis has had this long-standing tradition with his family to go ride the Ferris wheel on opening day. And the Ferris wheel is 20 stories tall. Imagine that. So get up there right whenever the sun is setting. It is one of the most beautiful things to see, because you can see the Dallas skyline off in the distance. You get on that little Ferris wheel. It takes you around a couple of times. It's just a lot of fun to watch the sunset from there. You get to see everything that's happening down below. And I jumped in on that tradition over the last couple of years. It's a lot of fun, but you got to check it out. Number 9 is going to be the museums. Now, who doesn't love museums if you just want to be bored to death? I'm just kidding. If you love museums, all right, don't scream at me. But I do like museums, but I usually kind of go through them a little bit quicker than most people. So I'm kind of a fast reader and observer, and then I'm kind of in and out. I'll read a couple of things that catch my eye, and then I'm gone. Other than that, I know some people like to spend their entire day at one museum, and there's no shortage here in Dallas. Of course, you got to start with the 6th floor museum located in the Texas School Book Depository. Of course, that is where allegedly, I'd say allegedly, have they even proven that now, that that's where Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK from? I mean, that's amazing to have that landmark here in Dallas. You can go there, see the exact spot. They have an X on the road where JFK's car was whenever he got shot. You've got the fence over to one side for those of you that are thinking there's always that second person, right? And then of course you can go up to the 6th floor museum and see the location where they say Lee Harvey was at. You can even check out the JFK Discovery Tour to get a little bit more information on everything. There's over 2,000 animal species at the Dallas Zoo, and of course you can check out the breathtaking views atop from Reunion Tower in downtown Dallas. You can step into the indoor rainforest filled with tropical birds, monkeys, manatees, and more kid-friendly attractions at the World Aquarium. And of course you can check out the famous operas like Carmen at the Winspear Opera House. Are you a big art fan? Well, that's reason number 10 why you're going to love Dallas, Texas, is there is no shortage of art galleries, graffiti, everything that you might be interested in or want to learn about as far as art goes is going to be for you here in Dallas. So the Dallas Arts District is the largest urban arts district in the nation. It includes famous museums and galleries. You've got the Crow Collection of Asian Art and the Nasher Sculpture Center. Everything from ancient sculptures by Mississippians to African Como ceremonial masks and post-war abstract paintings. All of this at the Dallas Museum of Art. You can walk through the whole Dallas Design District, which is just outside of Dallas, where you can find the Dallas Contemporary, the Goss Michael Foundation, Samuel Lynn Galleries, Cameron Galleries, and many, many more. And if you're, you don't want to pay any money to check out any of that stuff, you should probably head down to Deep Ellum, because Deep Ellum probably has the largest collection of street art as far as graffiti. That's what it's known for. Deep Ellum is the music scene of Dallas. Now, back in the 90s, it was all the rage. We used to go there in high school. That would be like a whole thing to travel up to Dallas for a weekend and go to the clubs, right? Especially the ones that would allow 18 and up. And that was a lot of fun, but that was so much of the music scene happened there in Deep Ellum, and it's still the case today. But right now it's going through a whole new revitalization. In the early 2000s, it really took a nosedive, and around 2012, 2013, it started to have its comeback. So over the last 10 years, Deep Ellum has really been getting fixed up, and lots of great restaurants and bars, clubs, coffee shops. We were just down there this morning having coffee. That's what I like to do on Sundays, especially during the summer. I'll take my bike to White Rock Lake, and then usually come back and end up in Deep Ellum for a nice coffee and some brunch. One of my favorite things to do. Ton of shops, boutique shops. If you really want some specialty items, if you're visiting Dallas, first of all, you got to go down to Deep Ellum. You can find lots of cool stuff. But if you want to observe the art, then you've got the best graffiti collection in the city. All right, number 11 is going to be the festivals. And if you like festivals, then Dallas has got some festivals for you as well. Now, they're not as cool as like New Orleans whenever they have all of their festivals or they go into festival season. Well, they have pretty much festivals all year long. I love New Orleans. I lived there for a brief time, which is why I completed my degree there. But I tell you what, it's always so much to do there. But Dallas tries to make up for it. There's probably some other spots a little bit better than Dallas, but if you like festivals, they got one for you. Now, the Deep Ellum Arts Festival is probably one of the biggest that happens down in downtown Dallas, where they feature over 100 bands and over 200 artists over a 3-day span. You also got the lantern releases. If you've ever seen that, whenever they light the lanterns and release that up into the sky, it's pretty cool. You can do that with over 200,000 people at the Nightlife Sky Lantern Festival in Dallas at the Texas Motorplex. Now, there's many up-and-coming artists that you'll find at the Dallas Art Fair, and you can purchase a party pass and become a VIP if you want early access champagne soiree and the eyeball closing party. You can train for the BMW Dallas Marathon. That's the state's longest running marathon, which was founded in 1971. And you have the Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children that is a big donor for that. And we're coming up on my favorite festival in Dallas, which is St. Patrick's Day. That's whenever they shut down Greenville Avenue, we've got a video on that, which is amazing because that reminds me of New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is very free. You can just, go everywhere, hang out everywhere, drink everywhere, and do all of that stuff. But you can't really do that in Dallas. There's no open container law here. I mean, there is a no open container law. So that means you can't take drinks outside. You can't walk around. Even if you're in little areas like Deep Ellum or Greenville or Bishop Arts, you're not supposed to walk around with alcoholic beverages. So St. Patrick's Day on Greenville Avenue, close to downtown Dallas, is the day where they block off everything. They have block parties, lots of bands, food, all the restaurants have their doors open, vendors on the street, and that's where you can go out and just enjoy a beverage on the street, walk around, not have to worry about traffic, not have to worry about anything else, and it's just a lot of fun. And so it's one of my favorite traditions here, something we always do, and we're looking forward to that. And it does have a St. Patty's Day parade, which tries to be a little bit like New Orleans as well. Not quite there yet, but its origin is pretty funny. So the parade started out as just a small get together, and it got out of hand, and all of a sudden, all these people showed up everywhere. Now it's a lot more controlled, and it is sanctioned by the city of Dallas. So lots of street closures. Be mindful when you're driving around that area, but it's pretty extravagant at this point. It's over 100 boat parade hosting nearly 100,000 attendees. So number 12 on the list is going to be parks and recreation. Everybody loves to get outdoors, right? At least most people do, unless you like video games, then you'd probably rather stay indoors. But otherwise, I like to get outdoors, especially whenever the weather is perfect. As I mentioned before, several months out of the year, we've got amazing weather, but even whenever it's hot, if it's hot, that's one of my favorite times to go biking because I work up a really good sweat at the same time and it just feels like a good workout. So I absolutely love it. But Dallas has more than 350 parks and over 160 miles of trails throughout the entire city, making it really ideal for those that want to be outdoors. Now, of course, you've got one of my favorite areas, which is White Rock Lake, over 2,000 acres and a 9-mile track that goes all the way around White Rock Lake. But there you can sailboat. You can't have motorboats on White Rock Lake. Hike, fish. The trail is nice and paved all the way around, so you can bike or run, and there's some off-roading as well if you want to take your bike off-roading. If you got a mountain bikes, there's some good trails off there as well. And if you want to take your car off-road, there's a couple of spots that you can do that too. But other than that, there's plenty to do all around the White Rock area, and it's a lot of fun. You could also go bird watching or hiking through 9 miles of trails at Cedar Ridge Preserve, and it also includes a butterfly garden. So be on the lookout as well. You could head to the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Gardens, which is close to White Rock Lake as well, actually right next door, and the Children's Adventure Garden. If you visit during the Dallas Blooms Festival, which features over 500,000 spring bulbs, chef tasting cooking classes, and a family fun weekend, live music and performances, and many more. Now you also have the Great Trinity Forest where you can watch waterfowl, you can hike trails through the prairies and the wetlands, or you can have a nice little picnic out there. You can also find Dallas activities for all ages and seasons, from movies in the park to summers to trick-or-treating in the park and Halloween at Clyde Warren Park. All right, who doesn't love good music? So that's number 13 on the list, is the music scene here in Dallas. So American Airlines Center, that's where the Dallas Stars and the Dallas Mavericks play, is one of the hubs for all the concerts to come to. Pretty much anybody and everybody has come through here, from Lizzo, the Lumineers, to Machine Gun Kelly, to Bruce Springsteen, to Adam Sandler. And if you want something a little more country, try the Kessler Theater, where you can see performances from musicians like Ian Moore and Morgan James. If you want live music that's a little less mainstream, you could go to the Bomb Factory and Trees in Deep Ellum, and those are really great venues to go to. I remember back in the day, now this is going to get some of you, Trees is a very small event, or a very small venue, almost the size of this studio right now. Nickelback. Who doesn't love Nickelback, right? They had come out with their first album on the radio before that How You Remind Me song. It was the album before that, which nobody really knows about. But I heard one of their songs and I thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Now I went to Trees, I remember specifically. Now I saw a lot of people in Deep Ellum, of course. But I just remember this specifically because I went to Trees and Nickelback was there on stage. And you could literally walk right up to the stage. I'm serious. I mean, this venue is about the size of this studio. And they played it out. You know, there's probably maybe 30, 50 people total in there, to where when they got done playing the set, they jumped off the stage, literally, because I don't even know if there was a way to get through the backstage, but they just jumped off the stage and then started having beers right there in the bar. And I sat there and hung out and talked with them way before they were ever big or anybody knew who they were. Anyways, they're pretty good live, actually. I know there's a lot of Nickelback haters out there, but hey, you know, let me know in the comments, are you for or against Nickelback? This should be interesting. You can even listen to jazz and cabaret concerts by Dallas artists at the Salmon Center for the Arts, which is an arts incubator for the local community. You can rock out to Imagine Dragons, Halsey, Wiz Khalifa, and many more at the Dos Equis Pavilion. And the Dos Equis Pavilion is where I saw my first Metallica concert. That was a great one as well. So Dos Equis has half the seating is undercover, the other half is a lawn. A lot of people buy the lawn tickets. I've seen so many concerts because it's right down the street from my house, which I love. It's less than 2 miles. And it's been great for my Airbnb around here as well, because the people, there's always concerts and going on there. So my Airbnb was always booked, mainly because of the Dos Equis Center. Number 14 on the list of why we love Dallas is, of course, the shopping. And who doesn't love to shop? Of course. So I tell you what, if you've seen our Highland Park vlog, you know, when I started out there, I talk about Highland Park Village being the birthplace of outdoor shopping. That's where the whole outdoor mall came from. It's the first one in the United States. So Highland Park Village Shopping Center opened up in in 1913 and became the template for shopping centers all over the nation. With luxury shopping centers now offers the best in name brand clothing from designers like Ralph Lauren, Tom Ford, Dior, and Fendi. And you can spend the day at the West Village, a walkable shopping district with unique boutiques and restaurants like Fiato and Honest Taco. And you could even pick up some Western gear at Wild Bill's Western Store, which has been family owned for over 60 years here in the Dallas area. But in addition to that, you got so many malls like Stonebrower up in Frisco. You got the North Park Mall in Dallas. You've got the Galleria on the border of North Dallas. I mean, if you love malls, there's no shortage of those here, but I like the boutique shops and the boutique areas like Bishop Arts and Deep Ellum, or even Legacy West and the shops at Legacy when you get up north. Just something that's a little bit more quaint. I'm not really the big mall type of guy, but if you really want to get into a big mall, you got to go over to Grapevine Mills Mall, one of the largest malls, not just in Dallas, but in the country. There's so much to do and hundreds of stores there. There's just no shortage. You could go shopping for days here in Dallas. Now, the 15th reason we love Dallas is Tex-Mex, and I give it a category of its own because it is one of my favorite foods in Texas. I mean, how can you go wrong? It's got Texas in the title, right? No, but Tex-Mex is its own breed. You've got Cali Mex, of course, coming from California. And then, of course, you just have regular Mexican food from Mexico. All very different, but Tex-Mex is, I would say, probably a little bit more fattening. So you got to be careful than maybe the Cali or the authentic Mexican food. But otherwise, it's amazing. I just found this new place called City Tacos over in downtown Dallas. It's literally like a hole in the wall, just a hole, and then just a kitchen. Everything's to go there. They have a couple of chairs you can barely sit at, but I just went over there for the first time. It was absolutely amazing. I had this burrito, I think, a burrito quesadilla, where they... I can't explain it. It's absolutely amazing. But E-Bar, also over here in East Dallas, one of my favorite spots. There's a couple of chain restaurants just in the Dallas area that are very popular, like Gloria's, like Blue Goose, and Mi Cocina, which are some of the favorites, but I tend to stay away from those. I'm not really a big fan of Mi Cocinas. A lot of people like it here, but I'm not really for it, but it's okay. But I prefer some of the more mom and pop stops that are just one-offs. They have one restaurant. That's where I believe you're going to find the best Tex-Mex. But you got to check out City Taco. You got to check out E-Bar. Really two of my main favorites. Even if you go down to Vidora in Deep Ellum, that's a good spot as well. And there's a couple of spots in Bishop Arts that are absolutely amazing. Number 16 on the list, I'm going to give a whole nother category to barbecue. But overall, I mean, food in Dallas is absolutely amazing. But Tex-Mex and barbecue, I mean, just unbelievable. And yes, Dallas has the best barbecue in the country, okay? Yep, that's right. You heard me, Kansas City. You heard me, South Carolina. You heard me, Austin. Dallas has the best barbecue. Pecan Lodge, my absolute favorite. You get the loaded sweet potato. You could get brisket on there, turkey, beef, whatever meat they have on this giant sea salted sweet potato. I mean, it is unbelievable. But there's so many great barbecue restaurants. Terry Black's down in Deep Ellum, Hutchins Barbecue, Hard 8. The list goes on and on and on. But overall, food as a whole, you're not going to go wrong, because I also love one place called Hungry Belly. It's Thai, Korean, and Japanese all in one. So they got 3 different menus, and no matter what I've eaten there, the Korean, the Thai, or the Japanese have been absolutely amazing. So many options to choose from, no matter which culture you like. And also one of my favorites is Roti Grill. My favorite Indian food restaurant here in Dallas, there's one on McKinney Avenue, and there's also one in Frisco in the Star District. They're unbelievable. I actually just took my parents last night to Roti Grill because it's one of their favorites whenever they come into town. They don't get that down in Stephenville, which they still live down there. Pretty much in Stephenville, you're just going to get Tex-Mex and barbecue down there, and home cooking, country fried steaks and things like that. Not the healthiest of options, but they come up here. I take them to lots of things that they don't get down there, but Indian food's one of my favorite. All right, number 17 is going to be the margaritas. I mean, of course, with great Tex-Mex is going to be margaritas, and who doesn't love a margarita? And did you know margaritas were born right here in Dallas? That's right. So the first frozen margarita machine was invented in Dallas in 1971 and is now on display at the Smithsonian. So if you're wondering where to find the best margarita, well, Margarita Mile has plenty of bars and restaurants to choose choose from. You can find creative options like the lemon drop margarita, a traditional margarita with a shot of lemon liqueur. At the rustic Mesomaya, they offer the famous De La Casa margarita, which is also made with blue Weber agave and Oaxacan sea salt for a refreshing twist on that classic drink. So you can try the original recipe or explore new flavors like the frozen sunburst at Mariano's, but you can even have a nitrogen margarita at Beto and Son in Trinity Grove. It's absolutely amazing. They come and make it tableside with nitrogen. I mean, it's got smoke, nitrogen gas, whatever it is, all just coming out of there. They freeze it right there in front of you. It's like a Slurpee. It is amazing. And on a hot summer day, that's my favorite thing right there. On a Saturday after you had a good workout, had a good brunch, head over to Beto and Son, get a nitrogen frozen margarita, the best. And last but not least, for all you kids out there, I mean, the nightlife here in Dallas is pretty good as well. Now, you can't stay out all night. There is a 2 a.m. cutoff, which can be a good thing, right? Some may see that as a bad thing, but trust me,
nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m.
So at 2 a.m., the bars are closing down. You've got to go home. Better call an Uber or have that designated driver. Dallas police will get you. All right. So you don't want to drink and drive anyways. But the main thing is that plenty to do and have a lot of fun. So there is a ton of bars, clubs, and hotspots you can explore all throughout Dallas. The It'll Do Club is a dance club with massive dance floor and fantastic array of guests and DJs. You can pitch in ideas for Saturday night improv sets and also catch a hilarious duo and many, many more at the Dallas Comedy Club, which just opened up in Deep Ellum. Actually, about a year ago, they were building that out. It kind of got delayed because of shutdowns, but the Dallas Comedy Club is now open down there, and it's a pretty cool venue. And if you want some craft cocktail options, then you can slide up to the bar at Midnight Rambler. It's a speakeasy style bar in the basement of the Jewel Hotel, and finish the night with a bull ride at the Dallas Trophy Room, an uptown dive bar complete with a mechanical bull. And who doesn't want to ride a mechanical bull when you come to Dallas? It's a lot of fun, right? Especially when you've had a couple of drinks. Then you can bet all your friends to see who's going to stay on there the longest. So, all right, that was a lot to take in, but if you made it this far, I want to thank Spacewise for the blog that just really helped out narrow a lot of these things down. Of course, every single one of these I've experienced, gone through, been a part of, throughout my 20 plus years here in the Dallas area. I absolutely love it. Again, my name is Levi, and if you need any help or you have any questions about making your move anywhere in the Dallas area or the surrounding areas, be sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call, which is our favorite. All of that information is down in the description below. And until next time, well, we hope to show you around town.